Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Workout Wednesday with Coach Hendy, Greg Henderson. Want to welcome to Zwift Community Live's programming here today over on Zwift's Facebook as well as Twitch, Mixer, and YouTube. Mr. Greg Henderson himself, we got him hanging out with us. So he is a multi-time Olympian, 5-time Tour de France rider. He's won 3 world championships on the track, 11 World Cup gold medals, Commonwealth Games champion, and just coming off of a pro career. Greg Henderson, welcome to the program. Really excited for the workout today. Looks like we're all loaded up and ready to go.
Yeah, so I just had my last professional UCI race at the Tour of Colorado. It was a 4-day event, and I can tell you, mate, there was 3 days in the mountains there, the high mountains. We had a stage up in Breckenridge. Unbelievable. It's just so hard to even walk around there, let alone race around there on a bike. So that was great fitting race to finish with. You know, basically my whole career I've suffered on the mountains, and it was nice to suffer for 3 days. And then the last day was a bunch sprint, and I was really motivated, really determined to deliver Travis McCabe to the 200 meters to go first, because that's what I've made a living out of doing, is delivering Andre Greipel to 200 meters to go. So I was really stoked that I could do that, and it was just a really fitting end to my career.
Yeah, totally. It sounds like it. That was a great write-up I saw that you did actually over on your blog there, it looked like, with Coach, I think it was CoachHendy.com over there. So really sounds like a fitting end to your UCI career there. I know you got a couple more races to go, but no more UCI for the day. So looks like, though, we are loaded up with the workout. For those of you who have not downloaded the workout to come and ride with us, you can do that still. We're about to get going here, but you can find this workout at Zwift Community Live's Facebook. Probably not quite enough time to do that still, but if you want to get in on Workout Wednesdays, you can join us at the start-finish line. We're going to take off here. We're doing the hilly route right now. We're actually going to go forward on the hilly route and then turn around because you're going to be about 4-minute efforts, it looks like, on the reverse hilly. And we're going to be doing our repeats there. There'll be about 4 minutes or so probably to get up. It's probably a little more than that, actually, about FTP, but we'll be using the reverse climb today for that. What do we got on the dosing today? What is the dosing for Nathan's suffering today, Greg?
So today it's one of my good friends, Alec Dowsett. It's one of his key sessions. I remember chatting to him, and there's variations to this that you can do. Today we're doing 6, but I know Alex has done up to 8, up to 10 of them. And basically what we're doing is we're actually riding at time trial pace, but giving ourselves just enough rest that we can repeat the effort and actually ride at time trial pace for a long time, like 6-4, 24 minutes right on time trial pace without the massive accumulation of fatigue, so that then we could then go in, if we were training tomorrow, and again repeat another effort tomorrow without huge loads of fatigue. But we've also done the work at race pace, so you know exactly how your race pace feels.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Okay, so repeatable. It's repeatable day after day, it sounds like. Now, you can interact with the broadcast today. You can ask any questions to Greg here in chat or tweet at Z Community Live. So we can bring these right on in. So go ahead and ask your questions over at Facebook on Zwift's Facebook, or you can tweet at Z Community Live, and you'll be able to interact directly with us. I'm going to actually set my FTP. You can actually change your FTP on the fly in Zwift, actually, if you need to at any time as you're getting going. But you can also set it up so that after I go ahead and select workout, I went ahead and select hilly ride. I'm going to hit ride. I know that Greg is waiting for me over by the start-finish line here. I've selected the hilly, and then from here, if I feel like 300 that I set it at is a little too much, I can actually change it over here on the left side of the screen, bring it down a little bit or up a little bit. So It is just warm-up time, so 120 watts it looks like or so. And we probably have a few riders waiting up for us here. So I'm going to take it easy here for just a minute. And, well, 3 minutes it looks like, as I think riders are starting to get going as they can see us start to ride up next to them. Greg, I am coming by you right now, so go ahead and start getting going. Looks like. As,
I'll catch
there
you,
he
mate.
is.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I'll catch you,
mate.
mate. Don't worry. I'll catch you, mate. Don't worry. Greg's got it. Greg's got it under control. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Zwift says, looking great, Nathan and Hendo. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
What are we
So,
at?
for these workouts that we got going on here, looks like I'm going to be doing 4 minutes. It says at 285, then 300, then 300, then a 290, and then a 290. It looks like, so it's like pushing that edge right up to FTP, or a little bit under, then almost right at, because I said it about 301,
Nice.
and then a little bit under right afterwards.
Absolutely. Yeah, so again, it's an interval where you bang on your race pace. And if I asked you to go out and do 24 minutes right on threshold, it'll be a hard ask, it'll be a really difficult ride. This way we put in just enough recovery, so then you can then start again and reproduce the effort on race pace. There we go, I found you, mate. Your bike looks cool.
What do we got you riding on today? Let's go ahead and see what's going on with oh yeah, I forgot. So workout mode, I think, makes it so that you have to focus on your workout. And so I don't think I can actually grab you. It doesn't watch you. It doesn't want you focused on what other people are doing. It wants you to focus on focus on what you're supposed to be doing. No Zwift effect. No Zwift effect on these workouts.
So I'm on the original steel Zwift machine, the old Zwift bike. It looks great. Do you like my socks?
Now, wait a second. Now, there's a little bit of a question there. Oh my goodness, look at him. Tall socks, right? Always the tall socks.
Oh, always, yeah.
That's where it's at. That's where it's at.
It's great. Finally got myself a black helmet, so, I look pro. I'm definitely
So no Zwift
pro.
hat? No Zwift hat with the customization?
I always wear a helmet, mate. Always wear a helmet.
Even indoors? What's going on there? I'm not seeing it up on top right now. What's happening here?
Yeah, okay. Safety first.
So, you can use ERG mode with these. That's something that some people might not know how that works. And I know that you like to use ERG some of the times for some of these workouts. Is this a workout that you would suggest using it with? And maybe a little bit about what a ERG is?
I love it. Basically, it's your smart trainer talking to the power meter and talking to Zwift. It says, you've set your FTP at 301. So the trainer will then automatically put on the pressure, put on the resistance that it allows for you to ride at 301 watts. And there's no escape. You can't drop under, you can't go above. You sit bang on the target. So that's why it's really, really important to be, accurate with your FTP and, test it 3-4 times a year. Test that FTP because, it's definitely going to change when you have time off or you've done a lot of training. So I really enjoy erg mode because sometimes when the training's quite difficult, it can take the thinking out of it too. You just know, okay, I've got to do whatever power they say I've got to do. So you hang on to it.
So it just sets it for you, makes you hold whatever that wattage is. You can select ERG mode, enabling if you do have a smart trainer connected to the platform. I'm thinking about showing real quick how to do that. So if you hit E during your sessions, you can go ahead and see right here. And in this screen, I haven't started the workout already. You have a ERG enabler right here at the bottom of the screen where my mouse is. And you're able to go ahead and enable ERG mode right there, or disable.
It's really
Zach Rogers
good.
is coming through with a question real quick here, Greg. And he's saying, at Coach Hendy, what is your favorite bike you have ridden during your pro career, and what is your current bike? Oh boy! Now he asked that correctly, I think. But so, what do you think there? What do you think there, Greg?
I spent the last 6 or 7 years on Ridley and the Belgian company when I was racing for Lotto Soudal, and I really couldn't fault the bike. You know, they had a sprint bike, which was very, very aerodynamic for the sprints, very stiff, and then they had a climbing bike, the Helium XL, and it was just so light that it was, you know, underweight at times. So it was really great because you could switch during the Tour de France. You could switch, you know, you had 4 days in the mountains coming up, so the mechanics would do an amazing job, and they would set the bike up exactly the same, and you would almost it's like going on a diet. You know, you'd lose a kilogram for the mountain stages, and then you switch back to your sprint bike, and you'd have that power and that speed at 70 k's an hour when you're doing the bunch sprint. So I really like the Ridley bike, had no complaints. And the bike I'm on right now is an Orbea. It's from Spain, from the Basque country actually, and beautiful, beautiful bike. It's so light. You know, predominantly in the Basque region, most of the riders are climbers, so it makes sense they make a bike that's, you know, bang on the UCI limit. See, we're restricted to the weight of our bike. We can actually only have a bike that weighs 6.8 kilograms. If we go under that weight, we have to add like lead weights or a chain or something that'll bring the weight of the bike straight back up to that 6.8 kilograms. So yeah, there's technical rules in it.
And they weigh them before every stage then, or they go through checking a few?
Typically you'll get weighed at the end of a mountain stage, because that's where you're going to get the most benefits. And you know, it'd be nothing worse than finishing 250 k's, finish up a mountaintop, and they weigh your bike and it's, instead of 6.8, it's 6.79. You know, you'd be like, oh, come on. but I know some of the tricks they do is, yeah, they chuck a chain down the seat tube. They put a couple of extra weights on the bidding cages. So there's ways to make sure that it's definitely, and you know, you think of got small guys, Rocky Rodriguez, Porito, and the young Colombian kid, what's his name? Blanking. The smaller climbing guys, you know, they, because their bikes are actually physically small, they're going to come easily under that weight.
So yeah. They're actually adding, what kind of, so it's chains or actual lead weights that they're putting into these? Do they, is there like something that's kind of standard to the Peloton that people are putting in, or at least to your teams that you've been a part of?
I've seen everything, mate. You know, I've seen guys with Allen keys, you know, Allen wrenches taped under the back of their seat to make sure their bike, yeah, just anything.
Gotcha. So
they typically steer away from rotational weight, because rotational weight can effectively double that weight. So to get a wheel moving, to get a crank or a pedal, you try and stay away from rotational weight, as it takes a lot more to move and costs a lot more energy. So it's usually a static weight.
Gotcha, that makes a complete sense. Totally makes sense. Keep the speed high, but bring the weight up. So yeah, we're gonna continue forward until we actually hit the efforts. So we'll do forward.
All right, mate.
Watopia Hilly until we start the efforts. And then we'll make the turnaround after the warm-up, because we still have about, I'd say, another lap, a little less than a lap until we start these efforts. So we'll make the turnaround in about 3 minutes or so, probably, actually.
Okay, no problem. Now, so this is again an introduction to a time trial program that I would sell on my website, and it's it's very effective training program, very effective exercise. But again, we've started out not too hard, just so you get a feel of some of the work we do, some of the work that professionals do to really focus on that time trial speed, and keep the power even, and just really enjoy the benefits you'll see after doing 3 or 4 sessions of this.
So if I head on over there, I'm actually going to bring up the website quick. Where can I find these specific workouts, and what so under train, I'm assuming, and then it would
go
be
down to TT training.
TT training.
TT training.
Okay, gotcha.
So there's your level 1, 2, or 3. So today we're doing level 1.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll give you 28 different programs, 28 different exercises with the ZWO, the Zwift file, attached to the download also. So, if you don't have time on the road, just load her up into Zwift, and you can it'll automatically pop up like what we're doing now, and you'll put it in erg mode and enjoy.
Set and go. Set and go.
Set it and hang on, brother.
Right on. So up into the 160s for the heart rate already here. I'm supposed to be feeling a little bit, not distressed or anything. I can talk. I can still breathe through my nose a little bit, as long as I'm not talking. But the point of this part seems to be getting my cardio going, getting some blood moving, and preparing my body for what's about to come, it looks like. With a 166 heart rate, not in the threshold yet, but definitely starting to push it a little bit.
Good. Yeah, and so last week we tried the climbing exercises, which is a lot of over-under thresholders for those accelerations that we occur in climbing, whether it be out a hairpin corner or whether it's like an attack from somebody. But today is purely that time trial mode where you have to sit right on the edge of comfort and uncomfort, So what's actually happening, we're sitting on what we call functional threshold power, and it's effectively the power that we can hold fully fresh for 1 hour. And there's various ways to measure this, but the key to time trial training is really being able to sit right on that number, and that's the number that when you produce lactate, your body can actually clear it just as fast. So it's that really, really fine line between blowing, because you've gone out just a little bit too hard, and going a little too easy, and you don't quite get everything out on the day on the time trial, because it's very, very important. Finish that time trial, you don't want to look at your bike again. There's nothing worse than finishing a time trial and going, you know what? If I'd have done this, if I'd have done that, maybe I could have found 5 more seconds. Whereas if you're a perfect time trialer, you take the likes of Bradley Wiggins, Alex Dowsett, Rowan Dennis, they're just masters at that game, going deep into themselves, no external factors. I know for a fact, Bradley Wiggins, he would never ride with a time trial, never ride with an earpiece during his time trial. Didn't want to know anything, he just knew the power he has to sit on, and he didn't want time checks, he didn't want the director telling him he's going well. It was just 100% I know the numbers I have to do. I know my threshold. Let me do it. I'm good at this.
So when it comes to doing these workouts specifically for that mental aspect, that, well, mental mixed with the physical effort of going into that place of threshold and feeling that effort, what kind of benefit is there then to this repeat? I mean, over and over and over again, I think to complete those TTs perfectly, to complete those efforts, I would think there would be this repeatability of understanding where you're going, how is it going to feel, what I am going to experience in this, that this workout would really, really help you get familiar with how to get the best time trial you possibly could, or the best effort off the front, or the best effort on your local KOM segment that's like a TT, or whatever it is that somebody might be going for in their goals, or just setting a higher FTP. I would think that these repeated, kind of controlled 4 minutes of understanding where this is and how it's going to feel, but at the same time not being this forever lose yourself in suffering, not knowing what's going on, you know, because you get kind of further into a 20. Let's say you do a 20, you kind of just lose all thought process of what's even happening. You're just suffering through it. It feels like these controlled ones give you more of a ability to analyze it.
Well, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's 4 minutes. The reason we do 4 minutes again is because you've reached, within 3 minutes, you've reached a steady state of lactic acid accumulation. So anything shorter, you're not quite getting that steady state accumulation. So then you need to take your 2 minutes rest, and then you can repeat that 4 minute effort again. And you know, if I got you to do, like I said, a 24 minute effort at threshold, you probably couldn't do much more in the way of an effort, whereas this is an introduction. So it's, you know, we can elaborate on this program any way we want. We can do some sprints at the end. We can do a climb on the finish, you know. But the simple fact is we can actually train after it, and we can train the next day. The problem is if we did it just a 24 minute effort, you know, you're going to be hanging on for dear life. You're going to finish that 24 minute effort and go, you know what, I'm ready to go home.
Now we're getting into it. I'm not ready to go home yet.
No, not yet, mate.
285, 4 minutes for me.
And the thing is, it seems super achievable at the moment because we're doing 2 at 95% of your threshold. We do 2 bang on your threshold. And then we just bring it down a little bit for the last 2, 9% of your threshold. So again, you just get used to that feeling of, this is how fast I have to go out in a time trial. This is the feeling that's going to feel like. So the first couple, you'll do it no problem. You'll have no problems doing this. But then accumulation of fatigue, and that's what it's about, isn't it, you know? Slowly build up that lactic levels in the legs and accumulate that fatigue.
All right, so now we're starting to get into that threshold heart rate. Ooh-ah.
Nice.
And this is where ERG would help me, I think, a little bit for consistency.
Absolutely.
So
the thing.
But I do learn a steady pedal stroke on my own using the strain gauge at the same time too. So I can see benefits both ways.
Yeah, perfect. And it's quite funny. We were just doing Tour of Colorado and we had a stage up in Breckenridge at 10,000 feet. And my normal functional threshold power is around 380, 390 watts at sea level. I went up there. I think I must have lost 120 watts on threshold. It was just unbelievable. like my heart rate, I had it was a 3.5 hour ride, but I set a personal best 3-hour heart rate of 173 average. It's 3 hours. Brutal. Absolutely brutal, mate.
3 hours, 173. Hooah.
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell you what the power was because, let's just put it this way, you would drop me right now.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It was terrible up there.
So Dennis Becker,
It's incredible to...
talking about watching these videos, live streams, Zone 1 being almost my FTP. Maybe talking a little bit about how FTP is everybody's own number, right? It's kind of what he's getting at there.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you do your test, and the simplest way to do a test is you do a 20-minute all-out exercise, and you take the average power, or you take the middle 10 minutes of heart rate, and that can be your heart rate threshold also, and that will give you your number, and it's super specific to each person. I mean, like we spoke about last week, Bradley Wiggins, 460 watts that's his threshold. That means he's clearing lactate just as quick as he's producing it at 460. I mean, I know a lot of guys who can't do 460 for 5 minutes, let alone an hour.
All right, first one done. Not too bad.
Nice.
Not too bad. Like you said, accumulation. I have a feeling once we hit those 300s, I'm already starting to look down at them and think about how those are going to feel.
Exactly. And so you'll get through those two. And again, the light's at the end of the tunnel. It's 4 minutes. Everyone can do 4 minutes, mate. And then just for a little treat at the finish, we just drop it back down to 97% of your threshold. And I'll be honest with you, it's going to feel exactly the same or worse than the two you did at threshold. So that's that accumulation of lactic acid, accumulation of fatigue.
We have a comment here. When I do similar workouts, the turbo holds the correct watts for me. Why is yours not doing this? Robert is asking. So I have opted to use my strain gauge power meter without Smart Trainer today. And I believe, I'm not sure if Greg is using the ERG mode, but it is an option to use. I sometimes prefer to use strain gauge, a lot of times, over the ERG, but I do use ERG for some things personally. But I know Greg is a huge fan of the ERG, and maybe I need to listen to the coach. But
No, I just like how it takes out the variability, and we've got a session coming up later on VO2 max intervals, and it's key there is the erg mode. The key is not to start too hard on these VO2 max intervals, and 9 out of 10 people start these VO2 max efforts because of course the first one feels great, but you've got to get through 10 minutes and you've got to repeat that effort probably 3 times or 2 times, or just depending on what level we're at. And it's the key with erg mode then is it won't let you smash out the first 40 seconds flat stick. Really takes care of you, really looks after you. It's really clever.
all right, number 2 here. I'm going to turn around and go up the reverse climb. I'm going to hit the bottom here. We're going to do repeats on the climb.
Nice. I'll be on my way to gaining that 50,000 meters of altitude so I can get a Zwift looking bike like yours.
We need to get you the Tron bike for sure. Here we go, up and down.
I'm chasing.
There we go.
Nice. So a great feature on this Zwift screen is you can see exactly how many watts per kilo the guy you're riding was doing. So for example, if I need to catch you now, I can see you're sitting bang on 4.2, 4.4. So I know I don't really have to look at my power. I just go, I know if I sit on 5, I'll eventually catch you. It's great. Is this one feeling a little bit more difficult?
A little bit. Heart rate definitely got going a lot quicker. We're right up into 172.
That's the idea of the effort. That's working. Good job. Yeah, so this is one of the efforts. I remember asking Alex, what's one key effort that you do for your time trialing that you know when you nail it, you're in good nick? And this was his variation, you know, of producing race pace, race power, just enough time to get some recovery and hit again bang on race pace. So it's you know, he's obviously very, very handy time trialer. He's won a stage in the Giro d'Italia in the time trial. He won the Commonwealth Games, gold medal in the time trial. So, you know, the guys know what they're doing. They're doing it for a reason.
I actually used the Rifle Special yesterday as openers.
Nice.
Because I knew this was coming. So I figured I'd wake the body up a little bit and jumped on for an hour quick late last night.
Good job.
For the that was 2 weeks ago, episode 1. You can find that over on our YouTube. The Grapple Special.
Week one was Andre Greipel's contribution. And again, it's a technique exercise more than a super heavy loaded power exercise. But again, it's the introduction to, and yeah, it's easy to get through. Like we talked about 2 weeks ago, it's that neuromuscular pathway that we're opening. Teach the body to produce force at high RPM. And, you know, this is a perfect exercise for it. Ten seconds, mate. Good job.
Almost there.
There's the banner. Great.
All right, we are going to be turning around. I'll give those guys about 30 seconds that are watching with, you know, because it does take about 30 for the stream to get out.
Okay. A little bit of lag.
Yeah, just
glitch in the matrix.
Tim Mason was asking for a little heads up. I think it's T Eagle out on course. He's riding with us.
Oh, nice. G'day, mate. Time trial mode.
I'm going to go ahead and make a turn. Those of you who don't know how to turn around, you can use the Zwift mobile link or the down arrow key on your keyboard. And you can switch directions out on course.
Perfect.
Except for Richmond. No turning around on Richmond. Only
No
forward.
turning around on Richmond.
So we got a 2-minute rest, so it's about halftime rest. What's up with the half times?
Yeah, it's like, again, it's just slowly, you know, it's not quite enough recovery to be fully recovered. That would be 1-to-1 ratio. And then we could work you above functional threshold power. But, you know, 2 minutes is half the exercise. Gives you just enough recovery. Feels nice. And so then you start again the next exercise, and, you know, for at least a minute, it feels okay. And then you've really got to concentrate on the power, focus on your form, and hold that power. So it's just,
so that ratio is probably something people are pretty interested in, I would think, to hear more about.
Yeah, it's been scientifically studied for sure. How long it takes to clear lactic acid. There's actually a specific wattage that each person has that clears lactic acid faster. So you have to do a test for that, and, you know, in my programs we go over that test so we can work out in the recovery what power you should be doing to to more or less clear lactate faster than what just spinning around doing nothing would do. Your optimum floodgates, really. Get rid of that lactic acid, mate.
So there's an optimum recovery number is what you're saying then too. It's not just doing nothing.
No. Every person has an optimum power outage, profile that clears lactate the fastest. And you'd be quite surprised. It's not like, 30% or 40% of FTP. Most people, it's up around 60% of 65% of your functional threshold power. But like I said, over at coachhendy.com, we've got all those tests. They're incorporated in the programs that you download. So we have like the perfect warm-up, the perfect recovery process, and everything that you need pre-race, post-race, or post-workout, pre-workout for optimum recovery. Because at the end of the day, it is key. We can go out and we can train and we can hammer ourselves, but if you can't wake up the next morning and do the same effort again or a training session, it's kind of almost pointless in having gone that hard the day before. So it's all about consistency. It's all about structure, and that's where you get your big gains from interval training and cycling.
This one's hurting, for sure. Wah!
Yeah, so you've definitely accumulated that lactic acid, and now this is right where you've got to focus. Right, I'm right on race pace here, but again, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. A minute and a half coming up. Everyone can do a minute and a half within reason. I'm just trying to catch you now, but I probably chose the wrong time to try and catch you.
No worries. We'll make a turnaround after this one. About a minute 20. Then we'll turn around.
Good man. So just concentrate on nice full pedal stroke. Engage the hamstrings, the glutes and the quads. And really concentrate on that number. Concentrate on your RPM. Looks good, mate. "50 seconds. Beautiful. Onto a bit of pave there. Don't let that upset your rhythm.
I was on the Neo. I'd be yelling at it.
Yes, true. Good job. 30 seconds. Last 30 seconds now. Nice and concentrated. Full pedal stroke. Holding that power. Great job. There it is, 10 seconds. I can see the banner.
Reprieve. Come on.
There it comes. Good job.
Let's turn around.
Right. So that's great. So that's 4 now. That's 16 minutes. Right on race pace, right on the pace that you would set off in a long time trial. The other good thing about this is it teaches you not to go out too hard, because it's the last thing you want to do in a long time trial is head out of the guns full gas, and then 5 minutes in, you're like 100% full of lactic and your power drops 30 or 40 watts. So it teaches you to know how race pace feels also.
So we have a question coming from Mr. Adrian Timmis himself, ex-Tour de France rider.
Right.
He's looking for some coaching. TT versus climbing threshold. Would you train them differently with different cadence, etc.?
100%. And like we did last week, the climbing, it's more about nowadays over and under. It's those surges that you want to teach your body to become really efficient at. It's not necessarily about sitting at one pace and just like we are today and just holding that pace that's close to your time trial pace. It's about varying it, a 20-second acceleration, 60-second acceleration, and then settle back down just under your threshold and try and teach the body to recover just under threshold, and then repeat it again. So they're definitely, you know, the old school belief was if you TT well, you'll climb well. But in reality, it's changed a lot these days. These massive surges that will just load the legs with lactic acid. You have to be able to recover just under threshold again. It's a real art form.
Sounds like that's more toward last week then when it came to the surging. And this is more of that TT effort. So maybe that's a question. What kind of cadence should I be holding, you think, here?
Well, a lot of the good time trialers nowadays, Tony Martin, Alex Dowsett, they all have a 58 chainring on the front, and they always ride around the 13 or the 12 sprocket. So it's a low cadence, it's 90 or below. And the reason why they do the big chainring and the big sprocket on the back is every time your chain turns, every link that's bent is actually friction. So if you have a bigger chainring and a bigger sprocket, the chain doesn't have to turn as tight, and you'll produce less. You'll have to produce less watts to go the same speed. So there's a lot of intricacies into time trialing. It's an art. It's definitely an art. And if you can master a few of the simple techniques, a few of the simple, you know, tricks, your times and time trials will just be you know, remarkably faster. But it's like I always say, Nathan, it doesn't get any easier. You just go faster.
Definitely going faster on this one. Oh boy.
That's good. Right at 300 watts, perfect.
Another question coming through from Chris Amin, well-known community member from Zwift. Calm down, Carissa. Says, what type of warm-up do you do before time trial?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And there's a lot of research that's gone into that, a lot of study from the AIS, the Australian Institute of Sport, and the British Cycling. And obviously I rode for Sky for a couple of years, so I'm very aware of what the correct protocol is. And my wife's Australian, world champion on the track. So, you know, I had a lot to do with the Australian Cycling Federation also. So it's a very structured warm-up, a little bit different to what you'd think. It's not actually that long, but if you head over to on my website, I've actually given the warm-up, warm-down protocol. I've given the Zwift file for the warm-up to follow. So it's over there. It's a really cheap download where you will have the perfect warm-up and the reasons why we're doing it.
50 seconds. Let's go.
Oh, mate, looking great. What I do love, Nate, is how your character just matches 100% what you're riding on the erg right now. That's professional, mate. That's professional. Righto. We're inside the last 30 seconds now. Just really concentrate. Nice heart rate. Perfect. So that's 1, 2, 3, that's 4 done. That's 2 to go. So that's effectively already 16 minutes on time trial pace. It's a fantastic workout.
Ooh, turn around.
Good.
Let's do another hill
Good
repeat.
job, brother.
Oh, baby.
So now that was 2 efforts right on your FTP. So yeah, they're going to be pretty hard. And now what we do is we just drop that down a little bit We drop it down to 97%. Sounds like nothing, but I promise you, it's going to start to feel exactly the way those last two felt.
Oh boy.
And again, as we talked about, it's that accumulation of fatigue, it's that lactate buildup, and the 2 minutes, it gives you time to clear the lactic to some degree, but not all of it. And that's what we want. We want the body to, almost get comfortable with lactic acid circulating in the legs. Good job, mate. I'm sitting on your wheel here, no worries. Look how hero I am.
Question
wow.
Coming through, getting that draft. Getting the draft. I'm not sure he needs it. Looking pretty calm there, Hendy. All right, so do you need drinks on a warm day on TT bike? Because I think it takes a lot of seconds, Thibaut Van de Velde says. What's your opinion on drinking? Great question. Good
question. And it's very, very dependent upon the time that it's going to take you to do that course. If you plan your ride properly, you plan your warm-up, because I always break my warm-up into 5 sections, and you can get a rough estimate of how that course is going to go. But anything under 20 minutes, I wouldn't take a drink bottle. But anything over 20 minutes, for sure, I would do the gel rinse. I don't know if you've heard of that, which you actually take a gel in the mouth and leave it under the tongue for 30 seconds and spit it out. And you actually get the same receptors in your brain saying, okay, there's carbohydrates coming my way, release some more into the blood so I can pedal faster. And then I would take a drink bottle with some mix. And typically I wouldn't take a full drink bottle. It would just be one where I know I've got 3 mouthfuls, big mouthfuls. So half a drink bottle, and that's over a half an hour time trial. But then of course, you get these hour and a half time trials in the Tour de France. For sure, you've got a drink bottle, you've got some gels tucked up your skin suit leg, because you're definitely going to tap into those reserves in your muscles. You're definitely going to need some sort of substrate to be circling around there and replacing what you're using.
Help me understand the gel rinse a little better. How does that work?
Yeah, so that's latest research by Asker Jukendrup, and it shows that the receptors in your brain, they sense carbohydrate in the mouth, and you rinse it under your tongue, and so it then gives you that insulin spike and helps you burn carbohydrates without even, because your brain thinks, oh, I've got some on the way, I can release the stuff that's already here and we can use it. So and primarily the reason for rinsing it and not swallowing it is, in a time trial, you're right on that limit. You're right on that super, super uncomfortable limit. And if it's under 20 minutes, you're typically going to be riding above threshold. So you don't want a really concentrated, sugary substance like a gel in your stomach, because more often than not, you can get major stomach issues. So it's a little biohack, mate. Ben Greenfield would be proud of me.
Ben Greenfield, I love that.
He's a legend. How you going, mate?
Oh, it's hurting. It's hurting.
Yeah, good. That's what I like to hear, actually. I would hate the fact that you would be doing it easy. But you look good. That's the main thing. I've always said that when I come up to my time trials. If I can't be the best, you might as well look the best, mate. You're doing great. There it is. Just concentrate now, mate. Really concentrate. Like we talked about. Full pedal stroke. You're inside, a minute to go now. You're in the honey hole, mate. As we say, you're in the honey hole. Just loving it. That's it. Now, if we look at your avatar, look at the beautiful cadence he's got. There's no body rock. Every time you move your shoulders when you're riding, that disturbs your, what we call an aerodynamic silhouette. So it makes actually your frontal area that much larger, so it's slower. So when you time trial, you want to look like that avatar and really concentrate on core muscle, lock in those glutes, hamstrings, and just ride super smooth, and you actually go faster. Good job, mate. 15 seconds. Really nice. So that's a hard one. That was 97%. And like I said, it's going to feel like 100%, no question. Now you have your recovery. There's one to go. So what we've done, Nath, is we've just really taught the body. We've really taught the mind. This is race pace. This is what I do in a time trial. There's none of this going out at 500 watts for the first minute and expecting it to be a good day, you know? You know your functional threshold power, you've trained it, so you know what it feels like. And it's just like, we call it on the velodrome, like, it's called the slow squeeze. You try and give some more, and it's like squeezing a lemon, you know? You put the power on first. As you empty out the gas, you know, you've got to squeeze harder to get the same sort of output. And as you can see, your lemon's nearly cooked, mate. You just got to squeeze out those.
Oh my goodness! I can't wait to drink the lemonade. Where's the lemonade? Oh my goodness! All right, so we got a question from the Duck. We call her the Duck. Out in Kubota. Good to see her hanging out in cast. So the Duck says, question for Coach. I think she meant Hendy.
I hope so.
Should I generally using the same crank length for a TT bike versus road aero race bike?
That's a really good question, because again, there's been so much research that's gone into that, and you know, I've looked at it a lot myself. And years and years ago, it was always bigger cranks for the time trial, and you know, more leverage to push the big gears at a lower RPM. But the latest studies now are showing everyone's starting to ride the smaller cranks. All the guys on Sky have gone down to 165, 170 cranks. I've been riding 170 cranks for 3 years. And the reason behind this is your actual leg as a piston is not creating as much turbulence. It's got 1 centimeter on either side of less turbulence. So again, at 50k an hour, 60k an hour, it's much more aerodynamic. And your muscles become more efficient and a smaller firing pattern, as opposed to almost, you know, if you exaggerate the point, you overextend that muscle and it has to contract from its furthest point. Whereas if you can contract it and it's perfect range of motion, it becomes a stronger muscle. So it's really interesting you say that, because, you know, when Bradley Wiggins time trials and he rides 170 mil cranks, it's like you would think for sure he's on something bigger, because his legs are nearly 2 meters long. Whereas Mark Cavendish, for example, sprints on 165 cranks. It's only 5 mil difference, yet he's probably 2 feet shorter. So it's a lot of studies gone into it, a lot of research, and a lot's happened in the last 3 or 4 years. And I'm sure that Team Sky have had a lot to do with, you know, the direction in which crank length has gone. But, and having said that, you know, after that whole long explanation, you get guys like a friend of mine, Adam Hansen, who totally believes that the longer the crank arm, the less torque you have to produce, and so therefore the easier the gear feels. So he rides 180 cranks, he puts the cleat in the middle of the shoe, and he wants the longest reach he can possibly get, and it works for him. So yeah, long story short, ride the same size cranks on your road bike as you do on your time trial bike, especially when, you know, if 90% of your rides are on your road bike, and then you go and switch to longer cranks and a different TT position, you can do all sorts of straining of muscles and you know, niggly little injuries, and it really adds to that just not quite comfortable on the time trial bike. I hope that answers the question. What size cranks you got on, mate?
175.
Now's a good time to start talking to Nath. Ask him about his family and what he had for dinner last night. Was it a nice dinner, mate? Did you cook it? Did you eat it all? Yeah? Good boy. Did you have any dessert? Very good though, mate. Inside that last minute now. Solid effort. Your avatar still looks smooth as silk, brother. Looking good. So we're holding that 290. That's right on 97% of that threshold. Great time trial effort. Great time trial. And like I said, you can get, this is the introduction. I've heard of Alex Dowsett doing 12 of these. So,
oh baby,
you know, yeah, we start at 6 and we can build up. We can start at 4, you know, we can start anywhere. But the fact is, when we have a structured program, it's laid out in front of you. You know, we do this again in 3 days. You'll find this no problem. Good job, mate. 3, 2, 1. There it goes.
Oh.
That is your dose of Dowsett. Just a little dose of it.
I've been dosed.
You've been dosed. Good job. If you're not careful, mate, we're going to get you fit.
Oh boy.
We have to
start racing.
We have to be a bit careful. Holy smokes. Look out, Nathan's on the warpath. He's flying.
I think we need another 30 or 40 watts, but we'll get
threshold.
There.
That's exactly what I felt like
in
Ventura, California.
It's been a good month and a half of not really training much, so this is really good for me right now to get me motivated again. Absolutely loving it.
Good, mate. You're going well too. I like the dedication. I like the commitment. I can see the commitment because I can see that heart rate up around 185. I know we're doing some work.
Yeah, I mean, when you start out 168, 172, and then by the last one, you're 15 beats higher, you know something's happening. Whew.
It's what we call cardiac drift. And it's a sign that you're doing everything. You're pumping that blood around faster. You're trying to get rid of that lactic acid, but unfortunately you keep piling on the power, so it's not clearing, and your body pumps faster and faster and faster. So that's the idea of the exercise. A little bit of cardiac drift, and it's 24 minutes now, bang on race pace. It's a great start to your time trial career, mate. We'll send Alex a message and warn him that the next 10 miler in Britain, he might be in trouble.
Gary's on the warpath. Oh gosh. So Chris Whittick, nice little comment. I know he rides on the track. You can see it in his profile there. Always great to see him. Longtime viewer. Says not 500 watts for the first minute. Not like every Zwift race ever. Haha. So
no kidding. It's yeah, so what do they take off at, like 8 or 9 watts per kilo?
At
So
least,
you do
right?
the math. Oh, so hard. Done some of these races, it's like, wow. Thank goodness I'm retiring.
BMX days, right?
Yeah, mate. 100%.
So speaking of, have you ever raced, what disciplines have you all raced? It's BMX. Did you race mountain bike ever? Or
Never did mountain bike, no.
no mountain bike, okay.
So I officially went BMX to the velodrome, and I did every endurance event at the World Champs on the velodrome. So points race, scratch race, Madison, Teens Pursuit, and then focused all my energy on a road career after that. So yeah, it was as you can see, after 20 years, it was very humbling getting all the messages, receiving all those messages on Twitter and on Facebook when I announced my retirement. It's like, you never really quite know how you affect people, and so many people were sending photos that I'd had with their kids and, thanks for the inspiration. Thanks for, that's the reason we watched the Tour de France, was to watch you deliver Andre Greipel. It was really humbling, actually. Yesterday was quite an emotional day. But, yeah, I really feel like it's the right decision. And now I'm really motivated to put all my energy, all my passion for coaching, put it all in one spot now and make riders better, make them more
you
adjusted.
can do in other people's careers and lives, change lives through all that depth that you have on the Pro Tour ranks. I mean, that's a huge amount of depth and understanding within the sport. And you can take that and put it into other people's lives and bettering themselves through cycling, which is awesome.
Yeah, so eventually I'll be taking on a few athletes individually and, more one-on-one time. At the moment, the programs are just designed that they're structured from day 1 to day 28, but you can take as much rest as you want, and then you just pick up again on the program where you left off. There's a big explanation sheet that tells you how exactly to do the intervals. If you come and join us here on Zwift, you can see we're going through some of the intervals, so you can see how they're done. And then it's a slow progression. So by the end of the 28 days, when you retest your functional threshold power or your VO2 max power, depending on what program you've chosen, you'll see a lovely shaped rise to a higher power number, and that's effectively the goal,
We have a nice comment from the duck again. I would pay to see Coach Hendy plus Coach Nathan on Team CCP sandbagging. So I guess Coach Hendy is invited by the duck, not by anybody else, to be riding around Iceland next year. So
yes.
Weren't you trying to get me to do some? Wasn't there a race across? Oh no, that was Wes. Wes was trying to get me to do some race across Australia with him or something.
Yeah.
Some craziness.
Yeah. It'd be as bad as the Ram race across America.
Whew.
That'd be a hard day.
So what's coming up next?
5 days.
Coach Hendy, Greg, what's happening with
So I've got
workouts coming up as well as your racing?
Okay, so racing-wise, it's like we talked about at the beginning of the show, it's basically the end of my UCI racing. I've got a few smaller criteriums that I'm going to participate in and say thanks to everyone for supporting me through the 20 years and through my development. And then I'll head out to New Zealand and do my last race at a hometown race. So that'll be nice.
That's awesome.
Nice. I started in Dunedin. I'll do my last race, ride in Dunedin.
Very
but in
cool.
the way of training coming up, our next session. So what we've done a sprint interval. We did the Greipel special. We did Dan Martin Mixer, which is a climbing interval. And then today we did a dose of Dowsett, which is really nice time trial specific interval session. So next week, what we're going to do is we're going to break those 3 energy systems down, and we're going to do explosive power one session. We're going to do a VO2 max session, and then we're also going to do a functional threshold build, how we can actually lift that baseline functional threshold power, why we want to do it. So that's the next training exercise is coming. Break down the energy systems.
Okay.
And explain the energy systems.
What are we going to be doing? Am I puking? What's going on here? I mean, oh my goodness. The VO2s.
Mate.
Sorry, I think what's funny, I was a mountain biker, but for some reason that super high VO2 was something I really had to work on for a while. It seemed like, at least when it got to the 5 minute, I could do anything for like 2 to 3 minutes, but when it got to that 5, 6, 7, that was really where I would end up suffering and go full on blow up. And it might have just been because I always wanted higher numbers than what I was actually able to accomplish. And so that's why I think where a plan like this helps you stay within and get coached through what you actually should be doing, right? I would think.
Absolutely, because in cycling and like a lot of things in life, more is not always better. You know, like say we're doing these threshold intervals. If you're having a bad day, you can drop the power, because as long as you're within a certain percentage, you're still working that energy system. It's all about an energy system that we're working, whether we're burning carbohydrates, you know, whether it's ATP, whether it's fats, you know. So they're the three things that we need to work on. And there's times of a race where you want to burn each one. And like I said, say we're doing a long threshold session and you can't hold the power, that's fine. As long as you just drop it 5 or 10%, you're still within that bracket that says the body, okay, I'm still doing threshold work here. I'm still burning primarily carbohydrates. Let's become efficient at it.
I have another question coming through here from Zach while we're cooling down. Coach Hendy, has coaching been a long-term post-retirement goal, or has it been something recent or last few months as you can realize?
So I planned this for probably a year and a half now. I've been, probably about 2 years ago, I started coaching individuals. And that's where I really got the passion for it. A lot of guys from Australia, New Zealand, at that level, not quite World Tour professional, but, you know, really, really motivated and just needed some guidance, some help. And so that's where it started a couple of years ago, and always in the goal that, always in the future, to be part of a coaching, you know, scenario, coaching scene. So I've got a really, really nice story. Is one of the first guys I started coaching, Tom Scully. He rides World Tour Pro now. And I coached him to his Commonwealth Games gold medal. And now, just as I'm retiring, on the 19th of August, he starts his first ever Grand Tour. So it's quite nice. I'm really excited to see how he goes in the Vuelta a España.
That's amazing. That's so great. It's
great to see his development, you know, is really just see him come up through the ranks. And, you know,
and that's where a lot of this breadth seems to have come from, is being a senior amongst these teams a lot of times, bringing in coach. I mean, you've taken a lot of people, I would think, under your wing over time.
Yeah.
To bring them up through.
Absolutely. And I mean, this year primarily my job was to mentor the guns of American cycling, you know, and they had a lot of respect for me. And you know, it's one of those things where you don't really know how much wisdom or advice you have, because it's just accumulated over 20 years. But, you know, they can be talking about some sort of climb or which direction to take the sprint. And it'll just be second nature to me just to go, oh no, we can't go on the left side because look, the islands there are longer. It'll take us longer to go around the left side. Let's go on the right side. And it's just second nature to me. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. I don't even think of those sort of things. So it's just, you know, you come under the umbrella as a mentor, but basically it's just me wanting to help and using my experience to do that.
All right.
Good job,
there
mate.
There it is. We averaged 211.
I'm checking out your stats.
This is the stats loadout. Addition to Zwift in the last 6 months, I believe it was, maybe a little more than that. But the ride report, and it looks like, just like you said, we had that, you know, I think 177 on the first was the highest. And then it continued to drift. As you can see, 185s, 180s, 185s again, and then it just stuck. Like you can see how quickly it came into 185 right there at the end. Definitely.
But have a look at the troughs also. You see how low your heart rate was between each effort, and then how low it actually drops is going higher and higher and higher also.
It's interesting, and you can see actually on the 300 ones, these are the two 300 ones, a little more red in there, how it hardly dropped at all before we came back up, and then it dropped even more on the 290.
Yep.
So obviously,
that's,
was, you know,
some physiological adaptation going on there, sure.
For sure. So
great job.
Again, everybody can find these workouts over at CoachHendy.com. We will be, I believe, doing Workout Wednesdays on a weekly basis. Make sure to head on over also to Zwift Community Live. You can always find all of our places that we go live, as well as our Twitter and all that stuff for updates on when we will be doing the Coach Hendy workouts. So head on over there for updates and the schedule. It's always listed. And then coachhendy.com is where you can find the workouts. We will also be loading the workouts to Facebook, to Zwift Community Live's Facebook. I believe Zwift will also be promoting the Workout Wednesdays along with a download of whatever that week's workout will be. So to make sure to follow on the socials of both of those places so that you can know when we're going to be throwing those out there and when we're going to be doing Workout Wednesday. So, Coach Hendy, Greg, appreciate it so much. It sounds like
it's been awesome.
Sounds like next week is going to be a little bit of shorter but harder efforts on the docket.
Explosive power. It's I'd say again, like we said, we're gonna train the different energy system, and we'll see how we cope with that. Again, it's short and sharp, be over and done with. But again, it's training on the ergo, training on Zwift. It's so functionable. It's so time particular. It's within 1 hour, boom, you've got a great workout. You'll get great benefits from it, and it doesn't take up your whole day at 5 or 6 hours. And of course, there's times where you want to go out and ride with your mates, but there's also times you're running out of, you don't have time. You're at work, you've got kids. So you jump on Zwift for an hour, you bash out a workout that you know is going to help towards, your overall fitness, whether it's your sprinting prowess, whether it's your tactical climbing or your tactics to riding a time trial. It's you can't beat an ergo and you can't beat Zwift.
Looks like I wasn't following you there. I got you now. I thought I followed you on the Zwift mobile link, but maybe I missed ya. But we got you on follow here. If you guys don't know about this loadout screen, anybody you rode with, they give you the top 3, and then you also have all the ride-ons that you got, as well as PRs and other things that come through. Also get to see the critical powers. A lot lower than my best. Oh gosh, we got to get going here. Let's go, Greg. Get Nathan back in shape. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you next time for Workout Wednesdays. Next up on Zwift Community Live. Tomorrow we'll be back with the KISS EU race, as usual. We had Mr. Greg Henderson with us. And
see you guys. Thanks
a lot,
for
Greg.
stopping by.
Appreciate the workout so much. And
cheers, mate.
Thanks a lot, Coach Hendy. And then again, tomorrow, KISS EU, followed up by the Zuskana ride on Friday, the women's intro ride. So you can always head over to Zwift Community Live to check that out. Find all these workouts over at coachhendy.com. And we will see you next time on ZCL.